Hi guys, how you all doing? You're very welcome back to Autism and Me, and if you're new to the channel, you are very welcome. Now, before we start, as I do in each video, I want to thank everyone for your support so far. I really do appreciate it, from liking the videos, sharing the videos. It really does mean the world. So guys, thank you so much for all your support. I really do appreciate it. So on today's video, I wanted to talk about a few things with regards to general media and what people say about people on the spectrum. Mainly, they seem to, there seems to be this thing out there that like people on the spectrum are like indestructible and that they don't feel things. They lack empathy? And I don't think, in my case, that's definitely not true. And I want you, and today's episode will be about the bunking some of those things. So I'm going to be talking about anxiety, sympathy, and explaining how, because of things, particularly in sympathy, how I'm able to empathize with people. And also, I will say this one thing here. I don't think you can label someone who's on the spectrum as someone who doesn't go through human emotions, because at the end of the day, people on the spectrum are still human at the end of the day, and they definitely feel stuff like any other human being does. So here's my first example of how anxiety plagued me this year. Example one. So earlier on in the year, I was looking to set up an emulator, which, if for anybody who doesn't know, you can emulate like games from the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. Now, this is something that I've known about for a while, but it was only in the last few months, for a tournament I'm in, that I needed to get an emulator set up. Now, other people had set up, had their set up for years. Now I hadn't. Now, this is something I will admit that when it comes to stuff like this, I'm not the best in terms of knowing what's the best approach and what's the best thing to do. So I got the help of Andrew. You might remember him from the vlog from Birmingham, and another friend, who's known on YouTube as Cola Pro. So they would have helped me get the emulator set up. Now, it took a few nights because I'm not the best at setting up things, and especially for computer stuff, it's fairly alien to me. I do need a lot of assistance, but I did get it set up. Now the anxiety came from um, my controller, for example. I got it set up, but then it stopped working. And now I know this might seem silly, but when you spend that long setting it up and then it goes wrong, that can cause a lot of stress, and you don't seem to have a solution. And then when you're downloading the emulator and then you're missing a few components, like there is a video on it, but what the video I found didn't tell me was, right, this is what you do if X isn't here. This is what you do if Y isn't here. This is what you do if Z isn't here. So I think that's what basically caused the anxiety, because I was worried, like, not only for setting it up, but what were the lads going to think of me? Do they think I'm stupid for not knowing this? Like, are they going to talk to me afterwards? Now, I know to most people, they would know me for being anxious around people, but like that's something that I would be fairly nervous of. If I'm not able to do something, I would be worried about what other people think, and it brought me a lot of stress as well. I was generally upset over it as well. I remember being very upset when I couldn't figure out some of these things. And like I was in the call, and I even said to the lads, I feel like I'm the only one who has this problem. But then they said, look, don't worry, Connor, like everyone has had problems with their emulator, whether it be controller or anything like a component missing, BIOS missing. Everyone's had an issue, so don't worry about it, you're not on your own. And that made me feel really good, because I said I was very worried about, are they going to think I'm stupid for not knowing this? How am I coming across? It's definitely something that I felt very worried for, and I'm grateful that they helped me set up, and I'm grateful for the patience they showed for me as well, because I know a lot of people, wouldn't have had as much patience as they had. So now my second story, now I'm going to talk about being able to, like, sympathize with people. So for those you who saw episode 4, they would have known that I was bullied in school, and now this was very tough, very hard on me growing up. It's tough being in an all boys school, and but then to have the added thing of getting bullied on top of that, it was very hard and very low. I've hit my self esteem a lot, and it wasn't just in school. I would Not many people know this, but when I played county hurling when I was in minor level, I would have got a lot, I would have been bullied as well, and it was so bad I had to like I had to tell the manager of the team, and thankfully he got it sorted out. But it was very tough because I was going to school. You would get people ganging up on you, and then you go to the county hurling, and you get ganged up on, and it was very disappointing because it kind of, it actually pretty much ruined like county hurling. For those of you who don't know, like no, for people who don't understand, like playing for your county is like playing for your country, say in football, and it was pretty much became like not a great experience because like you go to like two social settings you're going to, and you're just getting flack after flack, people attacking you, and it was just very upsetting, and it had a big play on my self esteem, and it was very tough to grow. It was very tough growing up. So, and then like when you think, then you find some, like I then got into an online group, and I was in a good many calls with a good few people, and I thought, oh, this is great, but then all of a sudden it just stopped. Now I know people don't have as much free time as they like use back then. I didn't really know how the mindset of, oh well, people don't have as much time as you think, and I get that people have their own stuff going on. I need to make allowance for that, but like back then it was very tough to take, especially when you're so used to being in calls and all of a sudden it's gone. It's definitely something that I found it very difficult to deal with, and I didn't understand why. It's like, how can you go from being in so many calls and with me, and then all of a sudden it's just gone? So that was very hard for me to deal with, and definitely has, I said, a big play on my self esteem, and it's very tough. And even feeling isolated. There was times even in college where I felt very isolated, like I just felt very isolated in college. It just felt up. I was by myself. Didn't really feel like I could talk to anyone, which is very tough. But this has also helped me be able to sympathize with people. Like I can sympathize with someone who has been bullied. I can sympathize with someone who doesn't have a large social group, who doesn't have a large group of friends, who knows what it's like to be isolated. I can sympathize. So it's made me a stronger person. And even though I am on the spectrum, I can definitely sympathize with someone who's been bullied or who hasn't had the big friendship group that they hoped for. I can definitely sympathize with that, and I like to think that I would be able to talk to someone about it. I'd be able to have a meaningful conversation about it. And now about with empathy as well, I can relate that because for anyone who says, "Oh, I've had a bad day at work," I've had a bad day, maybe with my sporting career, I can relate to that. Like I remember, I often heard came back from days. I'd say my last job, I feeling upset. Any job before that in Duns, I would have got felt very upset days coming back of stuff that happened over there. So when someone says, for example, "Oh, I had a row with my boss," or "This happened to me at work," especially in retail, I definitely understand. Like oh, this customer got mad at me because we didn't have this thing in stock today, or like oh we had to change this and it was very unsettling. I can relate to that because I've been there myself. I've been in the days when I've had bosses shout at me, things at work had to change, and it's very unsettling. And I can definitely empathize with anyone that goes through bad work, or even as myself in acting as well, where it's like, oh, the director and I had a falling out. The director was this today. Um, we spent too long in this scene. It was very unsettling. And I just feel the way let's say the way the director acted today was really disappointing, and it made me feel upset. I can definitely empathize with those people because I can relate to that, and it's definitely through experience I'm definitely able to empathize with people who go through bad stuff during their workday. So when I'm hearing about all these people suffering from depression, having a tough time with their social group, not having the big social group they were hoping for, or struggling with work, I can empathize with those people. I because I've been through them, so I definitely know how they're feeling and know what they're going through. And personally, I don't think, like, if you're on the spectrum, you're automatically immune to that. You can definitely sympathize. You can definitely empathize with those people. Like, I've often heard someone saying that they're depressed, that they're depressed, they've had depression, they've been bullied, and I can empathize with those people. I know what they went through, so I can definitely empathize with them, and I'm able to have a conversation with them. And I hope that people, if you are suffering around those things, please talk to someone. If you want to message me about them, feel free to. I'm always here. And I hope that this video does a good job. I hope it explains to you all that people on the spectrum, they do have feelings. We're not robots. We we have emotions, and we're able to sympathize. We're able to empathize. We suffer from anxiety. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.